Speaking of another incomplete team, we'll get half of the Splash Brothers on Wednesday when we take on Golden State. I'm excited for this one because the Spurs and Golden State have some history going all the way back to what was it 2013, I think. When we played them in the second round, and they were just a little bit too young at that moment. At that,
I actually think that we played him in 2014.
it might have been, it was 13 or 14.
But
Mark
I
Jackson still was the coach. But yeah, so like our history kind of goes back, at least like our like recent playoff history goes back, like I would say, like starting at that moment where they were a little too young, and then the 2 or 3 years in a row where they just like pounced on us, 16, 17. Those are some pretty rough years, having to watch like what we knew was going to be Duncan and Ginobili's and Tony's, like some of their final years. It was rough having to sit through the Warriors team. But as like an NBA fan, I was pretty excited to see them like in 2015, play Cleveland. And now that they're minus Kevin Durant, and it's a lot easier to be more excited to watch this team play. You know what I mean? Because they're incredible, and Stephen Curry is incredible all the time. But now that you feel like the playing field's a little bit more level, it's like, okay, cool. Like now I can cheer for you making all these crazy shots.
Mhm.
But anyways, let's kind of bring up what they have currently, right?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick that I still cry about 2017, but we'll move on from that. So this Warriors team, again, talking about incomplete teams. They don't have Clay Thompson for the rest of this year, and that's very unfortunate. Like, Clay cannot catch a break, but it's still another year for them to kind of move with their younger pieces. James Wiseman is the guy that they just drafted. He looks really good right now, and Andrew Wiggins, thank the Lord, has kind of stepped it up a little bit. He's kind of picked up his pieces from the beginning of the season when it just did not look pretty for him. Uh,
For who again?
Andrew Wiggins.
Oh yeah. He did have a rough start for sure.
hmm And so I know a lot of people lost hope, and I'm not gonna say that I didn't lose hope, but I'm not gonna say that I was back on my Andrew Wiggins train
Yeah,
of
well, I
sport.
mean, credit to him for putting the work in, but also credit to like Draymond Green, and I would say Steph too, for just they have a new role now, man. They have to be able to corral and teach, and you know what I mean.
hmm
They have to be able to bring along a lot of their players up to their level, because they've been playing championship basketball for years now. So and the other people on the other, I know that they know that too. I know that they know what the task is, but you know, it's one thing to say like, yeah, I want to be on a championship level team, and it's another to actually like become one. So it's cool. It's cool to see Steph and Draymond kind of leading the charge. I haven't been able to see like Kevon Looney like his like leadership role. His impact is probably a little bit more on the bench and in their locker room, in terms of like what he brings as a mentor or whatever.
hmm
But I do want to, he's also one of those guys who's been around during their championship runs and stuff
and
like that.
and
Yeah.
and that is a little bit on a bit of like, because Steph and Draymond were like into their, like, they're not even old, right? But like they were into like their young primes going into that like Warriors dynasty. Kevon Looney was a baby when they were winning rings. Like, he's not and I don't mean it like in a bad way at all.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
he was just young. He was a young player that they drafted late, and he just stuck around with them. And like you said, like his mentor role probably isn't like crazy, but that's for sure something that like the other young players, like, join, and they see a player like Kevon Looney, who was very young when he was in this Warriors team, and now look where he is with
Yeah.
them.
And that's the thing, that like us as Spurs fans or anybody who's going to play against the Warriors, you look at a guy like Kent Bazemore or Kelly Oubre, who've made names for themselves in other places, and have, regardless of if you've never felt like they've been able to take like the next step, they've had roles on every team they've been on. So when you see that kind of that kind of personnel getting added to like a Steph Curry and a Draymond, and like the championship kind of ball and DNA that they've had the past couple of years. Coach Curry included in all that talk as well. You get a little worried because you're like, okay, if Kent Bazemore can buy into a good championship system, he can be a good piece for them.
Yeah, he could.
We've been watching him in Atlanta, or I've been watching him in Atlanta for many years. And anytime that you're a solid NBA role player, you have, you got to be respected. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I haven't seen. I've only watched one Warriors game, like almost all the way through. So I haven't got a chance to see like how Bazemore interacts with them, or even just like some of their other guys. So I am excited for this week's game to be able to kind of see what are they bringing, because again, here's another team right next to us in the standings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and we didn't mention him, but Eric Pascal, another young, or he, I think he was drafted late, and so he was a little bit older and stuff like that. But he came in last year and he was really solid. This year he just has just kind of doing the same that he was doing last year. He's pretty solid for them all around, and you can't be too upset about what this Warriors team is trying to do, especially when they don't have Klay Thompson. So
Yeah, exactly. So, what do you think? I don't know if you got a chance to watch them a whole bunch, but like, what do you think? Obviously, they're led by Steph Curry, right? We're
mhm,
gonna have
mhm.
to have eyes on him all time. I am actually super excited because we've been talking about our guards all year, and I've been pretty happy with like the defense we've been showing. It's like, okay, here's a guy who can just pull up from anywhere. So are we like I'm real curious to see what is our game plan going to be for him? Is it going to be just trying to corral him all the time and get the
I
ball out of
know.
his hands as fast as possible? Like, what are we going to be? What's going to be our method?
Yeah, like you were saying, like this. I if memory serves me correct, like in our last 15 games, I don't think we've really gone against like a superstar point guard, and like it'll be
Maybe
Portland.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, well, Donovan Mitchell's, I'd say, just more scoring shooting guard than I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
say like a point guard that they'll run. He'll run the ball up and run his time with, right. And yeah, you're right. Donovan Mitchell is there, but he's a little bit younger, right? So he still has time to build. Um, Whereas like Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, we're gonna be meeting them right.
they're polished.
Yeah, exactly. They are the superstars that are constantly are these guys the top 10 players in the NBA, and obviously I definitely feel like Steph for sure is, and then Damian Lillard is always like in those conversations. Um and clearly they're both top 5 point guards in the league, if not 1 and 2 respectively. So it's uh it's going to be very exciting to see how well, like for me, seeing how well DJ will do against them for his time on the court, seeing how
Yeah,
well like if switches happen, see if Keldon can kind of hold him down for a possession, see if
yeah.
if
Now,
Lonnie does something, you
now,
know.
I mean, we're talking about hopefully like being in good positions at all times. Like, do you see any nightmare situations where we're getting Steph Curry just getting open for shots because of like LA being on the floor or
Yeah,
something like that? Like, how like is there how do you think that could play out?
if if I literally see LaMarcus Aldridge guarding Draymond Green
Yeah,
in this perspective, I know, like, as much as I've not been a Draymond Green fan for the last couple of years because of how much he talks on the court, like, just a quick, like, of what I feel about him, like I feel like he wasn't like an all-star level player, but he just kind of he played good to how good the team was. And now they're not good, and you can kind of see where his level is. But that's not to say that he's not a good leader. He's a great leader and he's a smart player. So like he like if I see that on the matchups, and then Steph is out there on the court too, him, Draymond, Steve Kerr, like
pick
those
and
three
roll.
people, yeah, they're gonna be smart enough to be like, "Yo, run that pick and roll.
Mhm.
Let's abuse this." And sure enough, if LaMarcus tries to, if they try to not switch, Steph's just gonna get a wide open three.
I- I'm
If they
I'm I'm
do
wondering
switch,
if it's going to be one of those things of like, all right, instead of having Steph Curry go off and make 5 threes in a row, let's just tempt Draymond Green to do it. He's done it before, and he's done it
mhm,
before against us too, where he'll go for four from the 3-point line or something like that. But I mean, it's like pick
I'd
your
much rather see
pick your
Draymond do that
poison.
than Steph.
Yeah, exactly. Pick your poison kind of thing. Now we can combat that a little bit because if we can force Draymond to kind of have to go and guard LA out on the three, LA can drop three, a 4 for 4 night if given the right rhythm and put in the right position. So, maybe that is what we try to do is just force Draymond to be that outside scorer. But then again, if he's catching the ball, maybe he's not looking to shoot the ball. Maybe he's looking to swing it and find Kelly
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Baseball, some of these other
Like
guys.
I said, I had never thought that Draymond was like the best player of imaginable, right? Like I never thought he was quite the all-star player that people painted him out to be in those years. But that's not to discredit that how good he is. He's still solid enough to make an impact on the court. And like if he is on a championship level team, it only makes him better when he's on the court too. So it's like, you know, uh he has his faults, but he also has good things about him that I think people will kind of not notice that a little bit about Draymond.
Oh yeah, I
So
mean, yeah, like kind of everything you just said about his leadership and just he's very smart. He's very smart. I loved seeing there's like some clips going around of him like having to direct traffic while he's dribbling the ball and
hmm
making his guys run around. Like I love to see that kind of stuff because I mean your coach can tell you all the right things, but zero times out of there would be zero games where where Kerr can actually step on the floor and actually go play. It's got to be the players to go do it. So I
yeah.
love that. I love that they can have an extension of Kerr's message out there on the floor in Draymond Green. He makes him better. And for a guy like Kelly Oubre, it's like you want to see like or even like we were saying about like Andrew Wiggins. It's like you want them to. Or you want to see like can putting them in a position like this where they have vocal leaders already on the court, where they have a DNA and a way of the way that they want to play already set. They have high standards. They have a leader. They have a good coach. They have all the right tools. It's like, okay, this is the best opportunity for a guy like Kelly Oubre or Wiggins to kind of take that next step. You know what I mean? So
hmm
it's possible for them. So it'll be our job to kind of hold them down a little bit too. Like Wiggins and Kelly Oubre on the floor at the same time. That's pretty. That's a lot of length.
hmm
I'll be interested to see. I mean, Steph Curry demands so much attention that you can now take advantage of Wiggins' size and Oubre's size because people just have to stay home on Steph like all day.
And we're not even talking about James Wiseman either. He's a
Yeah,
young
exactly.
he is a young center who can if LaMarcus is out there playing against him, like and Steve Kerr and them, build up a solid game plan, it will not be looking pretty for us.
Yeah, and
Even
go
if
ahead.
James Wiseman isn't the veteran that's already polished and stuff, like that offense is still good enough for them to be like, all right, let's do this. James, are
Yeah,
you ready? And James will just listen to what they got to say and work with what.
and we've seen already multiple times this year like an athletic young big do really well against us. Wiseman isn't necessarily the 3-point shooter, which is good because that'll limit the things that we have to kind of hold him down or whatever, how we try to approach defending him. But we've seen it many times before so far, youth kind of attacking our bigs a little bit, or speed attacking our bigs. I do want to ask a little bit.